Chinese lady came up to me and she was like, "You're a trader," and she taught me this strategy that no one else is teaching. Now that I play that in my head 1 to 10 every single day, if I was doing that, I'll be a multi-billionaire. My mom will always tell me that, look, no good girl or no good family is going to marry you because you don't have a degree.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, I've been in industry 30 odd years, gone through the whole university, investment bank route, institutional trading, futures, options, a whole shebang. And then I've dropped into this world, which I sort of knew in the background, but I had no idea. And it's all retail. And I'm jumping on YouTube trying to catch up, going, what is this? What's this language they're talking?
What's the prevalent strategies back in your day that we're using for retail traders? Because right now the trend is smart money concepts, ICT concepts, all of that. But back in your day, was it like just support resistance, or was
it's support resistance? It's like trend reversals, which is all now dressed up in all this new language, mitigations, and all this stuff, which I'd love you to tell us at some point all about. But my background is traditional charting and Elliott wave stuff and Fibonacci's.
Wyckoff stuff as well.
Say again?
Wyckoff?
A little. I mean, more. Some of the videos that I've got out there, I look at Bollinger Bands, which is an old school. I know that they've all been adapted online. But it's not just using it for the crossing. It's a volatility measure, because when they get tight, it's going to move. And if it's in the upper channel, you know that you're going to get.
Trading.
When you spot these fair value gaps and the whole thing
ramps up.
And then you've got people saying you can't possibly trade in the 1 minute and the 15 minute.
I personally trade in the 1 minute. I'm a scalper.
Yeah, I know exactly. Which is what I say to you. People say, "Oh, you're a swing trader." I said, "Yeah, but I will use that 1 minute and 15 minute
for entries
for entries. And if that matches up with where my levels are from my long-term charting, then it's even better. And then that's when I get excited if I see fibs that are extending, like the 4 times and the 6 times. Powerful.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it's all about you. This is about you. And what on earth has got you here today? So just give us a little bit of your background, how old you are and what got you into industry.
So my name's Zaki. I'm 22 and this is my 4th year in the trading game. The reason I actually got into trading was actually because of a scammer. So you know how as a kid, you'll be looking to online for ways to make money. So you'll be looking online for ways to make money, and then you'll see those ads where someone will be selling you a course or someone will be selling you a lifestyle and you fall for it. I wasn't that guy. Instead,
it's easily done though.
It's easily done and it makes sense. But I think everyone has to go through that phase in order to learn a lesson. So I think if you haven't been scammed in the industry, you've not really been in the industry.
And would you give that to us? And this will feed into your proper experience. Making mistakes is not a bad thing.
100%. You need to make those mistakes, because I can tell you that don't get scammed, be vigilant. But until you actually feel the consequences of making those mistakes, you're not going to learn from it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it's one of those ones where it's just experience.
It's like they used to say, you want to see the whites of their eyes to know whether they're real or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got into the trading space because of someone that I knew who was in the trading space himself, and he used to make himself out to be the world's best trader. All right. So I was 18 at the time.
Right.
So I was very naive. So I used to believe everything he used to say, because he used to come from a very spiritual perspective. Instead of doing all the flashy lifestyle stuff, he used to come with like spirituality and all that shebang. Yeah, stuff like that. So it basically makes you feel good from a spiritual perspective, and because of that, I kind of fell for it. So I got into the trading space because of him, and obviously he himself, he couldn't trade. He was a good educator, 100%, but in terms of trading, he was not there. So
what do you think it was with that? Psychology, or?
I'm not too sure what it was, because he used to show me screenshots. Yeah, I've only seen one screenshot from an NT4 chart. This was probably years ago.
It falls over when I try.
But all of a sudden, I've not. All I'm seeing now is just charts like him. Yes, him saying that. Yeah, I took this entry, but there was no previous analysis. There was no previous like call out for the trade. So you're calling the trade out after it's played out.
It's easy to put those together. The tools today.
It doesn't make sense. But obviously, me being 18 at the time, I was very naive. I used to believe everything he used to say, and it was crazy because he used to say stuff like, "Yeah, I've got a penthouse in Dubai. I've got a Lamborghini boat," and I'm just looking like. This guy is obviously, he doesn't look the part, but the argument that he used to give was, I'm just being very humble. And again, that's something that I try to implement myself within my first, because I used to make money before trading through e-commerce.
So, really? So you're used to being online then in the social scene?
Yeah, so I used to be doing dropshipping, I used to do e-commerce. So I was making good money from that. I used to make average 15,000 a month just through that. And that was what got me through university. That's what I was living off. Makes sense. So what he's done is he's gone ahead and he's seen me on, obviously I've been on social media for a long time. Yeah. So even before trading, when lockdown started and COVID started, I jumped on social media. I started making my own content. So obviously I started popping off on social media. I used to pull in 100,000 of views every single month just through me being me, making content. And obviously he's seen this, and he's seen that I do dropshipping. So he's gone ahead and basically he's messaged me, and he said that, listen, you teach me how to dropship and do e-commerce, and I'll teach you how to do Forex. Yeah, that's how it came about.
Good bartering.
I thought, you know what? Why are you, as a multi-million-pound Forex trader per se, asking to learn about dropshipping, asking to learn about e-commerce? Yeah, so I asked her that question, and he goes to me that, look, with Forex trading, it's very, very repetitive. Yeah, it's boring. Every single day, you wake up at the same time, you go on the charts at the same time, you do the same thing, same execution. It's very boring. My dopamine has been depleted. I don't feel anything when I make hundreds of thousands of pounds within 2 hours. That's what
the alarm bells are ringing.
Yeah. So no, at that point, because I'm not in the trading scene, this is my first time getting into it. So it sounds believable the way he's saying it as well. Obviously, you have to be very confident when you're telling lies. So the way he's saying it, I fell for it.
Don't give the secrets away.
I fell for it. So it's like, yeah. So I'm making hundreds of thousands of pounds every single day. Yeah, I'm making a yearly wage of an average man in 2-3 hours. Yeah, and I don't feel anything. Yeah, I'm empty on the inside. So I want to feel a buzz. So he's gone ahead and told me that, listen, you teach me how to do e-commerce, help me make money on e-commerce, and I'll teach you how to trade. So he started teaching me how to trade. He was teaching me smart money concepts and stuff. I'm not gonna say that what he taught me was wrong, because I did end up getting my first FTMO through what he taught me.
Okay.
But ultimately, I was used, and I explained how. So I started teaching e-commerce. I made him a Shopify store. I set up the Oberlo. I set up AliExpress for him. Everything you need to basically run a successful Shopify store. He started getting a couple of orders, and obviously he's happy now. Obviously he's making money through Shopify. But obviously what happened was, it was a scenario where he wasn't actually making money through trading, but he just used me to teach him how to do e-commerce so he could start making money through e-commerce. And the stuff he imparted on me in terms of knowledge of trading, it did help me with my first 10K FTMO, but it was one of those ones where it wasn't something long term. Makes sense. Like, he was teaching me the technicals, he was teaching me about charting, but he wasn't teaching me about psychology. He wasn't teaching me the stuff outside of the charts. Makes sense. Because he himself didn't have that. Makes sense.
Did you feel like was he actually doing any trading or not? Or was he just picking up on concepts from elsewhere?
So he was, okay, so it's funny because, so one day he's messaged me saying that, listen, I've just got the holy grail of trading. Yeah, I've just learned something amazing that no one can find in the industry. And I go to him, okay, how? He goes, so I was in a cafe one day, yeah, and I met this Chinese lady, and because of how spiritual I am, yeah, this Chinese lady came up to me, and she was like, you're a trader. And she taught me this strategy that no one else is teaching. So
fantastic. You're still on board.
I still bought it, yeah, because the thing is, he's sending you dreams, and obviously there's a goal and there's aspirations that I personally have. And when you have those goals and aspirations, you obviously believe anything that sounds good to you.
Can we touch on that later about what you're selling to people, the inspirations you're giving?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So we believe that it wasn't just me. There was a couple other guys. So obviously right now I run an agency with 2 other people. These 2 other people, yeah, we actually met through the scammer. Makes sense. So I was under this mentor, and these 2 are also under this mentor. But what happened was, obviously, when you're lying to one person, you're saying another lie to another person. It's hard to keep the lies consistent. So then, when me and the other 4 guys started speaking to each other, they're like, wait, he told me he was living in Dubai in 2022. Wait, he told me he was doing this in 2022. It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's your first lesson in journaling. You need to know exactly what you said to who.
Exactly. So his lies weren't adding up. And then ultimately, because we were still in denial, we wanted to believe what he was selling to us. So we were still in denial. So ultimately, we did basically clock on that he's lying to us. He can't actually trade. The house that he said that he bought, we checked it online. It was under rent. So a lot of things started coming out. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we got rid of him, whatever it might be. Made sure he'd never show his face on social media ever again. Because again, he was also using me to get people to sign up to his mentorship, and he was charging £3,000 per person per head. So when I did my first 10K FTMO, yeah, I passed it. Immediately he asked me, can you do a little video just giving me a bit of homage, basically saying that.
At that early stage, though, what helped you get passing the challenge so quickly?
So I passed the first FTMO within 2 days. So the first stage I passed in 1 day. Obviously you got 5 trading days, I believe, that you have to trade
it all
flows.
depends. I mean,
yeah, so it depends.
There's no limit.
So first phase I passed in one day. Second phase I passed in one day, and all I have to say is I passed them in one trade both times. I don't think I could trade like that ever again, because the more money you make, the less.
No, you don't want to lose now, do you?
It was more of a gamble, and it was one of those ones where I was gambling, but it was working. So I was entering just after a liquidity sweep. That's all I was doing. So after that happened, I would just enter conservative stop loss, hit a 1 to 8, and it just happened to work. I hit a 1 to 8 first time. No, 1 to 10. It was 1 to 10 with FTMO. Hit a 1 to 10 first time, hit a 1 to 5, I believe it was, for the second phase, and then I passed it. And then as soon as that happened,
big draw of breath.
Yeah, I was like, and the thing is, the way he was teaching us is like, oh, you're gonna make 1 to 10s every single day. That's what he was saying. I'm catching a 1 to 10 every single day. Now that I play that in my head, 1 to 10 every single day, if I was doing that, I'll be a multi-billionaire.
Yeah,
makes sense. So he was saying that, yeah, I'm catching 1 to 10s every single day, whatever it might be. I'm like, cool. So I'm on a 10K account now. If I'm going to be catching a 1 to 10 every single day, then I'll be making £1,000 every single day, because that's 10% of $1,000, sorry, of a 10K account. So I'm like, cool. Obviously, I didn't make 1 to 10s every single day. I blew the account. I did manage to get one withdrawal out of FTMO. That's about it from the 10K account.
In the early stage, then even though you got through straight away, what was your kind of run rate of wins versus losses, and how did that
I didn't have enough data at the time. I'll be so real. So right now, obviously, I've got data to.
So then you were just playing it day by day.
I'll just throw in the dice and see what happened. So in that scenario, it worked in my favor. I passed phase 1, passed phase 2, got a small payout as well from a 10K account. But ultimately, the account did blow because, again, I wasn't taught psychology. I wasn't taught about risk management. I was just entering after liquidity sweeps and just keeping a conservative stop loss and letting it ride for a 1 to 10 risk to reward ratio, 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio, whatever it might be. When it reversed, because I don't know risk management, it would go ahead and instead of hitting my break even, which I do now, it would hit stop loss, where I could have managed the trade and hit break even instead.
But even if you don't, I mean, as long as you've got some form of risk management, that's brilliant, because you could have the 10 goes at 1 to 10 and you're still in the game, aren't you?
Yeah, so that was a very funny time for me in trading, because I thought that, 1 to 10s are consistently is doable. But obviously now, over time and being more exposed in the industry, I understand that getting a 1 to 5 a week is amazing. 5% in 1 week, that's amazing to get. If you make 10% in 1 month, that's still amazing. That's better than most traders make.
So when did you drop this guy?
We dropped him as soon as we found out that this guy is just talking a load of us, basically. We dropped him, but the three of us that were under him, we still kept in touch.
Right.
And then after we all finished university, obviously I dropped out last year, but these two finished the university. After they finished their education, I basically messaged them saying that, look, I've got an agency that I want to start. Yeah, it's an organic marketing agency. Are you not on it? They said yes. And then from there, Viral Pulse was born, which is the agency that I kind of run.
You trading at the same time?
Yeah, so I trade. So my trading is very passive for me, in the sense that most of my time is dedicated towards my agency work. So my client work, I'll be writing scripts, editing, doing client outreach, closing deals, whatever it might be. And then...
So I think this is important for people out there. Yeah. That I think there's a lot of people thinking, can I do this? But I'm so busy. How do you manage your day then?
So I only trade New York session, right? I don't trade London. I don't trade Asia. Only New York.
I've got to admit, I'm so busy. I'm leaning towards that, because you've got the 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because with Asia, with New York, I can wake up at whatever time I need to wake up at. I can go gym. I can get my morning routine sorted out, and then with a clear mind, jump onto the charts for New York at 1:30. That's what I do.
And again, do you think that's a work-life balance? It's so important, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
100%.
If you're not hitting the gym, you're not thinking clearly, are you? You've got to wipe out.
The way trading is, and this is something that I've understood recently, within the last maybe 7 months, is the more discipline you have within your life, that gets reflected on the charts. The more consistent you are with your daily habits, that will reflect on your charts. If you can be consistent with going to the gym, having a morning routine, hitting your diet properly, then that in itself will reflect on the charts, because you can be disciplined with your day-to-day life. So you can be disciplined with putting your stop loss at break even, putting your stop loss at where it needs to be, not moving your stop loss when your trade goes in the opposite direction. Makes sense. So those are all things. Mental resilience comes into play when you have mental resilience within your day-to-day. Makes sense. It gets reflected on the charts. I've lost track. So you're talking about the scammers. Yeah, sorry. So all of us three, now we've gone ahead and we've started this agency. So what I'll now do is, instead of actually actively trading, what I'll do is I've got a 49-inch monitor for this reason. One side I'll have the charts open, on the other side I'll have my agency work. There's only one setup that I'm looking for. There's only one setup that I will enter. And if I don't see that setup, I will not enter that trade.
And how often will they appear?
It might happen twice a week. It might happen 3 times a week. Makes sense.
What if it turns up 2 or 3 times a day? Would you act on that?
If it happens 3 times a day and I hit TP the first time, I take profit on the first trade, I will not trade the rest of the day. So
really, so
yes. So if I make 5% profit,
and is that, like people talk about psychology and how do you deal with the losses? I don't think people ever talk about the opposite. You get blasé, you're the hero.
Obviously, once you're a winner, once you get a win, you're like, I can do this more. There's something I like to call where you have win streaks within trading, but those win streaks they come out when you're not actually taking more trades during the day. It comes out within a set couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. Makes sense. The way I see it is, if I've hit a 1 to 5 or 1 to 3 even for the day, why would I then risk losing 1%, 2% by taking another trade in the PM session of New York? Makes sense. I've hit my 1 to 3 off the charts, back on the agency.
So you're really compounding it then.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So on my 49-inch monitor, one side is all trading.
I want one of those.
It's amazing. Trust me. My productivity since I've got that monitor is amazing. And the other side, I've got all my agency work. So when I see the setup occur on the charts, again, I only trade US 30. I don't trade any currencies. I only trade US 30. So when I see it occur on US 30, I'll go ahead and place my limits. I never manually execute, just place limits. While that's playing out, go ahead and get back on the agency work. Once I'm tapped in, obviously I'll monitor the trade, I'll do my risk management, but I'm not in a trade longer for 30 minutes. Right. Maybe maximum 40 minutes, but I'll never be in a trade longer for 30 minutes because
you're setting up in the 1 minute time frame.
I'm on the 1 minute time frame. That's when my execution's happening.
30 periods in effect, isn't it?
What do you mean?
30 if you're in it for half an hour.
So within
it's still intense. It's not just a scalp getting in and out. Yeah, that's what it is.
Within those 30 minutes, I'm monitoring the charts. I'm doing my risk management. Obviously, at a certain point, I need to my stop losses to break even. So whatever it might be, within those 30, 40 minutes, I'll be just focusing on the charts.
Do you change the scale on your graph to make it more manageable? Because 1 minute you're seeing every tick flicking all over the place.
So the way I actually, I'll just explain my strategy because it's something that it's not a secret, my strategy. So what I'll first do is at the beginning of the week, I'll go ahead and do something called a weekly bias breakdown, where I'll basically determine where the market could potentially go. So this will be in terms of liquidity points on the higher time frame. So the weekly time frame, I look at so on the weekly time frame, above every candle and below every candle on the weekly time frame, there's liquidity resting. Okay, so I'm like, okay, cool. Which way is the market gonna go towards? I'll also mark out fair value gaps or imbalances, some people might call it.
Just because I'm dipping in and out on all this and learning the new way people look at it, that's a very valid point. Because I'm just trying to put this out there for the inexperienced. Literally, when you've got the wick on the candle and it's come back, that's because you've run into a lot of trade, isn't it?
Exactly. A bunch of traders have just been stopped out by sell stops, buy stops have been taken out.
Because I think a lot of people just concentrate that it's come back and they're looking at the level that's on the body, and it's actually the wick is so important as well.
The wick is absolutely important. Yeah. The wick tells the story. That's what it is. So on the weekly time frame, I'll go ahead and look for where the market could potentially move towards for the next week. So where the next candle is gonna print, which direction it's gonna print. Then I'll drop down to the daily time frame and also I'm gonna go ahead and mark out fair value gaps, points of liquidity. Again, on the daily time frame as well, every daily candle above and below, there's liquidity resting. Makes sense. So what will happen is you'll see a daily candle get swept, and then you'll see it reverse all of a sudden. That's the liquidity getting swept. Makes sense. And then obviously if it's a swing high or swing low, there's even more liquidity sat above those orders. Above those wicks or below those wicks. So I'll mark out those areas, and then I'll also mark out my fair value gaps because that's where the market is going to come towards to fill in. Then I'll drop down to the 4 hour, try and refine those fair value gaps to make it a lot more clearer. And then ultimately, I'll drop down to the 15-minute time frame. The 15-minute time frame is where most of my analysis happens. Most of the story is, most of the bias
on the 15.
On the 15-minute, the narrative is made because the 15-minute time frame is where the majority of the move for the day will happen. So I'll go ahead and check the 15-minute time frame, and what I'll do is I'll mark out the daily highs and the daily lows. Okay, so the previous daily highs, previous daily lows, the last 2 to 3 daily highs and daily lows from the last 2 to 3 days as well.
So you've got a lot of lines on the chart there then, by definition.
Not really.
Because you're in different time frames.
Yeah, so when I'm on the 15-minute, I can't really see everything else that's going on. So on the 15-minute time frame, I'll go ahead and mark out the daily highs, daily lows for yesterday and the last couple of days, and I'll basically wait for the daily highs and daily lows to get swept. Now, I did speak about on the weekly time frame where I said I'm going to go ahead and figure out my direction. I figure out the direction, I keep that in the back of my head, but I don't actually use that for my trades because I'm trading on the 1 minute. So I'm not worried about direction. I'm just trying to get in and get out. Makes sense. if the direction does match my bias for the day, then I'll hold the trade longer, because then I understand that, cool, I could potentially make a 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. Normally I go for 1 to 2, 1 to 3. Makes sense?
So some people would say that's confirmation bias, but I argue that no, you've done the prep in advance.
Exactly.
You're already in the trend.
So if I'm in the trend, then I'll hold the trade longer. If I'm doing counter trend, I'll do 1 to 2, 1 to 3 and get out, because obviously there's
because you can get whipped very easily.
Yeah, it will reverse very quickly.
Yeah.
So 50-minute time frame, market daily high, daily lows, drop down to the 1 minute time frame. Once these daily highs and daily lows get swept, I'll then look for a structure shift towards the downside on the 1 minute. Usually when there's a structure shift, you'll have displacement. Displacement is basically when the market goes ahead and moves towards one side with large amounts of volume. So you'll have a fat candle just form, and then you have the fair value gap getting formed within the candle. Once that happens, I'll place my limits within the fair value gap. If there is a order block or breaker block within the fair value gap as well, then I'll go ahead and use that as a further confirmation that, okay, I'll go ahead and take this trade. So then I'll place my limits at the fair value gap most of the time, stop loss at the swing high or the swing low, whatever it might be, and target internal liquidity. So it might be a 15-minute fair value gap on the 15-minute time frame. It might be a 5-minute fair value gap. I'll monitor price as the market plays out. If I see it reject in one side, I might close it early, depending on the fair value gap that it rejects off. If it goes straight through, then I'll be confident that, okay, it'll hit my TP. So that's just more or less how I trade. That's my AM session strategy. I've got 2 strategies that I use within the day. So you've got AM session strategy. If the AM session strategy doesn't give me any trades...
Sorry, slow down on that.
The AM session strategy. So New York AM session.
The morning strategy.
Yeah, so New York AM session, not London AM session, New York AM session. So if that gives me a trade, then I'm done for the day. Yeah. If I don't get any trades in the AM session, I will wait for the PM session, and then I'll have another strategy for the PM session, which I also use specifically for the PM session. If I hit TP on that, that's good. If I don't, that's 1% loss for the day. Carry on.
Why does the strategy change?
So this is just from personal backtesting and experience. So the AM session normally takes out the daily highs and daily lows, and then obviously has a reversal on the 1 minute time frame. The PM session, instead of taking the daily highs and daily lows, what it does is it'll either target the AM highs and the AM lows, or the lunch highs and lunch lows. So you have the lunch hour. Lunch hour I don't trade because I class that as a area of accumulation where liquidity is formed. So lunch hour I won't trade. But what tends to happen is on the PM session is you have the AM high and the AM low get swept before a small reversal occurs. Yeah, and again, I'm only looking for the small reversals.
Yeah, I mean, going back to my world, in institutional trading, that matches up with what happens with the VWAP, because you have a curve and it's weighted into the second half of the day.
Okay.
So a lot of the parameters get set in the early part, and then it's amazing how they play within that volume.
Okay, makes sense.
And then you've got people who are they're setting that, the machines that will deliberately follow it. So it all becomes self-fulfilling. So it's a good strategy to change to that.
Because the way I trade is I believe there are macros within the market. So there's certain things that happens every single day within the market at certain hours. Yeah. Something that gets that's very prevalent on social media traders on social media, Instagram and social media, TikTok, or whatever it might be, is something called the silver bullet strategy. So silver bullet strategy is basically, it's a smart money concept or an ICT concept where during certain hours of the day, there will be a run of liquidity on the lower time frames before a small reversal. You're targeting a 1 to 2. So there's macros that occur during the day, every single day, that you can capitalize on. Every hour, there's something that'll happen. Again, there's accumulation, manipulation, distribution that happens throughout every single time frame, whether it be daily, weekly.
Keep hearing mitigation. Makes me feel like I'm in court.
No, so it's accumulation, which is basically accumulation, consolidation, basically. Manipulation is where one side of the consolidation range gets taken out. So there's a bunch of stop losses on the consolidation range. So manipulation gets taken out, and then you got distribution. Distribution is when obviously the market then expands to one side or the other side, depending on where the market needs to go. So the way I trade, I'm trying to catch the distribution. Makes sense. I'm not trying to be in the consolidation, the accumulation. No. I'm not trying to be in the manipulation, because that's obviously manipulative. I'm going to get stopped out. I'm trying to catch myself within the expansion. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to catch myself. But ultimately, that's how I trade. 1 minute time frame, daily biases, weekly biases. I don't really use that myself per se. But what I do is, obviously, if it does form within my direction, then I'll obviously hold the trade longer according to the daily or the weekly bias. If it doesn't, if it's a counter trend trade, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, get out. And
so you've already mentioned it. You're only dealing one instrument. US
30. That's it.
Where's that come from?
So this actually comes down to the fact that obviously I've been trading for a long time. I have a bunch of data that I can work with now. So obviously with journaling, I can see that, okay.
Sorry. We all talk about the journaling. I'm sorry to interrupt you, because this is, I think, really important, and I'm loving how you're explaining this. What do people that are successful do with the journaling? Is it, because to me, it sounds like a lot of people will mark it up and then they'll never look at it again. So how are you using that data?
I use something called TradeZilla. So it's an online journal, all right? So it's like $30 a month. But what it does is every single trade that you take, it gets automatically noted into the journal. It's connected to your MT4, your MT5. So it's automatically everything. It'll give you your win rate. It'll show you what is your most profitable instrument. It gives you a bunch of data that you can work with. And based on that data, you can improve your trading. So that's what I personally use. Obviously, some people like to do journaling with notebooks and online PDF, whatever it might be.
All this ACG are bringing
they've got a journal thing as well. So ultimately, it gives you a bunch of data that you can work with, and then obviously you can improve your trading. So when I was looking at my journal, looking at all my data, I can see that majority of my wins are coming from US 30. All the trades that I'm taking that I'm winning in, most of them are coming from US 30. Then when I'm looking at the other things I'm trading, the currencies, Euro USD, GBP USD, whatever it might be, most of them are the losses. That's where most of my losses are coming from. So it only makes sense that if I cut out the losses, which is the currencies, my win rate increases. So I just had to make the conscious decision to get rid of every single currency in my trading plan.
And is there something that you identified about yourself that meant that you're doing better at 30 than FX?
So with US 30, it's obviously, it works really well with the strategy I'm currently trading, because number one, US 30, it moves very fast compared to currencies. The indices, they move much faster. So again, that's something that I like, because obviously I have other things to do during the day. So I'll be in and out of trade very quickly. So it moves very fast, much faster. Second thing with indices is when it comes to liquidity sweeps, they are much cleaner on the indices than they are on the currencies. When I'm seeing points of stops getting run through, I'll see it just wick out and come back down. I won't see another wick or another wick.
It's a very experienced market where people know where the stops are, and they know people have physically got control of orders. They're making sure that they high print and low print to rip out, to then see the reversal.
That's what it is.
That's what's being shown up in the market.
But with US 30, it's literally like, it'll be one wick. It'll be a very clean reversal. It'll be a very clean grab of liquidity. And then from there, I know that, okay, cool, this is the last point before the reversal, I can get in. So a lot of times when I trade in currencies, I would get wicked out because this wasn't the last point before the reversal. But with US 30, it's very clean. So it's very fast, it's very clean. And then from the data standpoint of all my from my trading journal, I can see that if I just simply get rid of the currencies, my win rate will automatically increase. So why would I not do that?
And if you're losing, presume you've got this written down somewhere, have you?
Absolutely. Every single trade that I take.
Rewind, clean, fast, stick to my time frame.
100%. The thing is, so some people say that, okay, cool, you take a 1% loss for the day. Say you're trading the AM session, you're taking a 1% loss. How do you obviously when you take a loss, some people will affect their day. How do you not let it affect your day? And that's where the PM session strategy comes in. It's like, cool.
Particularly if you've got cats and dogs, it's a nightmare.
So that's where the PM session strategy comes in. So what I'll do is, I've taken a loss in the AM session. Obviously, it could ruin my day. It could ruin my agency work. But then in the back of my head, I'm always thinking that, look, the PM session is around the corner after lunch. Once it comes through, I could take a win. And that's how I basically managed to
deep breath.
Handle a loss, because I know that there's another opportunity potentially in the same day in the PM session. If I take a loss in the PM session, that's 2% down for the day, but the day is done now, so I can just go to bed and cry about it in my sleep.
So you got rid of the scammer. You got the three guys. Do you work as a unit?
100%. All three of us.
So do you have a setup somewhere?
So we have an office. It's a very beautiful office. It's got everything that you would need in an office.
It's got 49 inches. Is it?
No. So I'm not sure about square feet of the office, but my monitor.
I mean, the screen. You got all the big screens in there.
So they've got dual screen monitors. I've got a 49-inch monitor. We all do agency work together, and we all trade together as well. So we are all sat on. These lot also trade GBP USD. I don't trade GBP, but they might.
Is it a good room now? Do you argue with each other, or is it?
It's a healthy work environment, to say the least. Because obviously, if we're all trading US 30 and I've got a bias for a long position, they've got biases for shorts, we can have that discussion as to why you think it'll be long, you think it'll be short. But we'll never let each other influence each other over our biases. If I'm long and he's short, I will stick to my long and he'll stick to his short, because we understand that we can't let each other's analysis.
And this is key, isn't it? For people who are looking for guidance and struggling, you don't just pick the first person you come to. The market's made up of loads of views, isn't it? And
100%.
They're all correct at some point. It's just finding who's got bias.
That's another thing I see on social media as well. With social media trading, what'll happen is you'll see a bunch of traders on the social media posting the profits or posting a trade in one certain direction. I want to see the losses.
I mean, the majority of people lose.
A lot of people do lose, and there are a lot of social media traders that do show their losses. So I'll give them their flowers. But in terms of majority of the scene, it's just blues. You never see the reds. But on social media, you'll see a bunch of people, like you'll see people saying that, yeah, I'm going to go long on Euro USD. Yeah. So then you as a person, you've done your analysis and you're seeing short position, you're seeing it go down. This person's seeing it go up. This person's got a lot more followers than you. They've got a lot more experience. They might be funded. They might have a lot more payouts than you. And you're thinking, this guy must be right. So let me change my bias to go for a long instead. That guy hit stop loss and your original bias was correct and you would have hit TP. But because you took the other person's influence in terms
you're
of...
not owning it, are you?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not you on the charts. You're taking someone else's. And that's why I don't like signals as well. Signals are a problem in the sense where I don't believe anyone can be constantly profitable by taking someone else's signals, especially if there's someone like me who's a scalper. I'll be on the 1 minute time frame. I'll go ahead and if I send a signal, you have maximum 10 seconds to enter that trade. Otherwise, you lost it. It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, people think you've got something here which is dynamic. It's based on growth. It's going to change.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking for things to get you in that confluence area, aren't you? Lots of things lining up.
Yeah.
And then,
confirmation bias. That's what it is. You want to find more reasons as to why your bias or why you're taking this trade is right.
But this is what I say on like the videos that I do. Like, this is the setup I'm doing. Yeah, there has to be an alternative that might work. Be prepared that it's going to do X, Y, Z. Don't get angry when that happens. And that, you know, and I've seen lots of people over the years who've done all the work. You'll have done all your strategy work, and it goes wrong.
It just happens.
Ready to bin it. That just happens.
It just happens. It's like in life, 2 + 2 is 4, but in trading, it could be 2 + 2 is 3. It could be 5. That's what it is. It's just one of those ones where you could do everything right, but it's just the market wants to do reverse. It wants to hit stop loss. There's something else going on, and you just took the loss. It's just something you got.
You plan for everything, but some news flow comes out quickly.
Yeah,
a day before it should, and that's not on the chart.
Just exactly. Tomorrow we could go toward Russia, and we could see every single currency that we personally trade just fly up or go down.
Which again is why your stop loss is important. Do you trade around news points?
So I don't personally like trading news itself. So I won't trade. So like 30 minutes before news comes out, I won't be in a trade. But what I do like to do is after news comes out, what tends to happen is news is usually like a driver for price to go to a certain direction where it needs to go. So normally with news, what will happen is it'll take out a certain point of liquidity.
Yeah.
So news in itself will take out liquidity, and then once it's taken out liquidity, it'll start reversing more. Like if it's a red folder news,
there seems to be so many people in the system just react either way, whatever.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
So it's like, obviously if news comes out and you see it go in one direction, and immediately you change your bias that, okay, today's going to be a short position day because it's gone towards the downside. That in itself is wrong, because obviously that fat candle that's just printed, you're not the only person that's thinking it's going to go to the downside. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people on the charts thinking the same thing. There's a bunch of stops above that fat news candle.
You need it all to clear it.
Makes sense. So what's going to happen is it's going to come back up, take out those stops, and it'll potentially just carry on going to the upside.
We've seen that a lot over
that's what happens with stuff like FOMC, NFP, CPI, stuff like that. It always happens. So I won't trade news specifically. I'll wait for news to play out, and then once news plays out, takes out liquidity, I'll then trade the reversal of the news. Makes sense.
So that's been fantastic, and I really get a sense of how you trade now. But out there, the people, as I said earlier, just don't know whether they want to do this for a living, or where's this come from? You got through the scam situation.
Yeah. So
and you mentioned university. So talk me through your family background and whether they're happy with what you're doing and how it's all developed.
So basically, obviously, I'm of Bangladeshi origin. So obviously, within my culture, within my family, university and education is a big thing. Like my mom will always tell me that, look, no good girl or no good family is going to marry you because you don't have a degree. That's what that's the narrative for most of the Asian households. So I was at university, Keele University. I was studying pharmacy. And then what happened was I dropped out last year because I just didn't want to be there anymore. Keele University in itself.
Were you making money? I was making money.
So when I started university, I was making money through dropshipping, e-commerce. Yeah. And then towards the second, third year, I basically started making more money through trading. Makes sense. So I was living off trading. I still had an e-commerce store at the time, so I was living off that as well. One day I just woke up it was like 10 a.m. and I thought to myself that, look, I can't do this no more. I sent a text message to someone, come pick me up, I'm out. Yeah, I told my mom I'm out. It's literally last minute decision, very impulsive decision. Right. And I said, I'm out.
Hell of a decision.
Yeah, it was the best decision of my life, because as soon as I dropped out of uni, that next month, I made so many connections. I made so much money as well, because
which is the whole point of it anyway.
That's what it is.
Networking.
It's networking. It's like the people I met. I came back to London. The people I met, the people I networked with. I don't think I would have ever got with ACG if I didn't drop out of uni. Makes sense, because it wasn't
got you on the path.
Yeah, it's got me on the path. That's what it was. So I've dropped out of uni, and I'm doing very well for myself in the sense that I'm leveling up in different aspects of life. But at the same time, it's one of those ones where parents will always tell you that, look, you need to have an education, you need to have a degree. My mom used to be like, oh, I don't care what degree it is, just get any degree. It could be in dance, it could be anything.
You can go back to that. You just got to
100%. And then obviously, I dropped out of uni, my brother dropped out of uni, and then 4 months ago, because of that, my dad left me as well. So he actually left the house. He's like, you know what, my kids are a disgrace, they're an embarrassment, I'm out. So he's gone ahead and he's ran off. I'm not too sure where he is right now.
Jeepers.
So yeah.
But has that affected you psychologically? It must have an impact on you. Or
thing is,
are you happy in yourself?
Thing is, I'm doing what I need to do. I always say this to my parents, look, the system that you guys were in worked for your time. If I follow in your footsteps, and I take your advice, I will end up in the same situation as you. And I don't want to be in that situation. So based on what I'm doing, I can see there's a path I'm taking. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Despite what you guys are telling me, despite the advice you guys are giving me, I know long term this is going to be better for me. And this is powerful stuff for me.
You're not going out there doing something blasé. You've got a structure.
Yeah, 100%.
You're making money.
The agency's bringing in money. Trading is bringing in money. My social media stuff that I'm doing right now, the social media stuff I'm doing right now is bringing money. I'm paying the bills in the house. Yeah, everything is. I'm taking responsibility upon myself. Makes sense.
So it's a cultural.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural shift. You know, and keep with it because you're a great ambassador for doing things the right way. Brilliant.
It needs to be done. And a lot of people will obviously go through that phase where they're not sure. And that's what I went through the first 2 years. I could have dropped out of university in the first year, but it was one of those ones where because of the cultural pressure, because of the family pressure, I didn't drop out. I was waiting to drop out. But one day I just thought to myself, I can't do this no more. I'm out. And a lot of people will be in that situation where they'll be making money through some other form, for some other means, but they're in that situation where they're thinking, should I drop out or not? And my advice would be that it's a gamble, 100%. It's a risk that you have to take. But with everything in life, there's risks. With trading, when you enter a trade, there's a 1% risk. There's money you're putting on the table. You could lose it. You could make 10 times more, whatever it might be. So when I took that risk, it played out in my favor. If it doesn't play out in your favor, then you just got to come back from that loss and then keep going. Makes sense. As long as you don't stop.
So you were a student and you'd got a little bit of e-commerce money coming. Can you give us, you're happy to give us an idea on the figures of how much you've spent getting into prop trading and how much you've taken out? Or
when it came down to prop trading, so I've paid for challenges in terms of like FTMO, my Forex fund. I was funded 100,000 with my Forex funds, and obviously we've seen how that's ended up. They're gone. But in terms of spending money on prop firms, I don't think, because I'm an influencer per se, I've got a social media following and I've also got a social media account dedicated to trading. I don't really have to pay for challenges. Makes sense, because I could just DM a prop firm saying that, look, I'll do a video for you guys. I'll do not necessarily a promotional video. I'll do a video where I basically give my own honest review about your prop firm, how my execution is on the actual, like your broker, whatever it might be, in terms of giving a real review on TikTok or Instagram, whatever it might be. And they'll see the account and they'll think, okay, cool, this guy gets views. We'll give him 100K for free. We'll give him 200K for free. That's exactly what happened in the Alpha Capital Group. I got the...
Do you then have to pass the challenge?
I obviously have to pass the challenge. Yeah. If you don't pass the challenge, then obviously...
It's not free lunch.
It's not free. Yeah? You got to pass the challenge. If you don't pass the challenge, then I'll make a video saying that I've not passed the challenge. It's part of the game. Makes sense. I've gone ahead. And this is something that I've taken on as an influencer per se. It's the fact that I have to be very transparent with all my trades. If I take a loss for the day, I'm posting it. If I take a win for the day, I'm posting it. If I tell people, if I'm getting a new account, I'll tell people that this is a promotional account. This is something that I'm getting for free. I'm going to do my due diligence. I mean, you got to do your due diligence when you're going with this prop firm. With Alpha Capital Group, when I signed up with you guys, obviously it's been amazing so far. Last 5 months, I've been getting paid out back to back to back. Every 2 weeks getting paid out. This is the only month where I've been in drawdown, but that's beside the point. January was a tough month for it. We won't talk about that.
It certainly was.
But I've been getting paid out consistently. I haven't had any issues with you guys. Obviously, your support, again, amazing. Obviously, when the free 5K accounts came out,
that was an interesting time, wasn't it?
It was a bit slow. I'll be so real with you. I was waiting for my payout. There was a bit of a few glitches here and there, but ultimately I did get it. So you guys, I can't fault.
So to me, that's happened. I've only been here a couple of months and getting involved. So I'm looking at this, and what you just highlighted there is a reward for being positive and getting involved with the people and trusting. So you've never had a problem with payouts. The industry is real.
ACG, 100%. ACG is real.
Within that is properly real.
And the issue is now is
all you see is people moaning. It's like,
people are moaning, but I think with ACG, it's one of those ones where it's a new prop firm and it's grown so quick that the obviously the people behind it, the management behind it, because of how quick it's grown, they've struggled to keep up with the growth. And that happens with anything that
People
goes very fast.
that's a good sign.
That's a good thing. It makes sense. So that's what I'd say about ACG. The only issue is ever since I've jumped onto ACG, they have a max allocation of 400,000. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 300,000 of that can only be for one instrument or one strategy. Makes sense. So that means
that's good for you. You only got one strategy.
Yeah, I've only one strategy, but that means that the last 100K, I can't I can't really trade on that. So it's one of those ones where, okay, cool. Once I get max allocated with Alpha Capital Group, I need to find another firm, but I can't find another firm that makes me that I'm attracted to, in the sense where it's like, cool, the rules, the execution, stuff like, for example, other. So
let's just touch on that. What really are the positives that you
with
think
ACG
has?
So with ACG, you've got obviously I only trade US 30. Indices spreads are amazing, no commissions. Payouts are every 2 weeks, and I've got them consistently, so I can't complain. But the leverage as well, you've got good leverage with 1 minute time frame. I'm entering average 80 lots on my 1 minute time frame trades, and ACG can facilitate that 80 lots. Makes sense. Whereas with other prop firms, they might have a 1 to 10 leverage. I can't enter 80 lots with a 1 to 10. No, they won't let me. My position size is too big for other prop firms. That's the reason why a lot of these prop firms I can't go with, because my position sizing. I'm not going to mention prop firm names, but prop firms that are
we're happy. We know that we stand out in front of everyone.
The prop firms that use brokers such as 8cap and Think Markets, I believe, or I can't remember what it's called. Those two, it's 8 Markets and another broker that they use. I can't enter trades with those brokers because, again, 1 minute time frame, 80 lots average. They can't facilitate my trades. So it's one of those ones where, because I've been with Alpha for so long, and because I've had such a good experience, it's difficult to find another prop firm to go with, because at some point I will need to go to another prop firm.
Sure. Well, that's something for us to think about.
Exactly, because my goal for this year is get 1 million in funding.
And can you tell us where you are now?
Right now, I've done 200K with Alpha. I've just about passed another 100K, and I've got another phase 2 of another 100K. So I'm nearly max allocated with Alpha.
So
Alpha is right now the only prop firm I trade with.
Do you think you can grow? Is it feasible to grow them, or do you have to
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about the scaling plan with Alpha. I do believe that you got up to 2 million.
Yeah,
but I'm not
on a 10% basis.
Yeah.
Does anyone scale out there that you know of?
I'm not too sure, but it's one of those ones where obviously I'll have to look at other prop firms and take other challenges so I can reach that 1 million mark this year. Obviously,
okay, so you're only going because we're limiting you.
Yeah, exactly. That's
everything else.
Everything else is perfect.
You spelled it out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of conversations about spreads. I'm from an industry where people pay commissions. You don't want to be going that way.
I'm not paying more commissions.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so everything's been smooth sailing with Alpha. I know a lot of people talk a lot of negative talks in regards to the prop firm itself. They've gone ahead and tried to expose Alpha for being a firm that doesn't have enough money to pay out the traders, but ultimately, I've not seen anyone complain.
No one's not being paid out.
Exactly. So it's
all about the growth. I mean, you're a great ambassador for it. You're a poster child for how to do it. You've dealt with a lot of issues in the background, and you're here. And good luck to you for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
getting towards 1 million.
Inshallah.
And it's been brilliant. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.